I am Jessie, 32 years old, and a single mom to the sweetest 8-year-old boy you could ever meet. Last Christmas at my mother's house still haunts me. Tyler got socks and school supplies, while my sister Vanessa's kids unwrapped brand new iPhones with squeals of excitement. The look in my son's eyes as he quietly asked, "Did I do something wrong, Mommy?" shattered my heart into a million pieces. I hugged him tight, holding back tears. That night while everyone slept, I smiled for the first time that day as I removed every single family member from my health insurance plan. Before I continue with this story, I would love to know where you all are watching from. Drop your location in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe if family drama stories resonate with you. Life as a single mom has never been easy. I work over 50 hours a week as a nurse practitioner at Memorial Hospital, often taking extra shifts whenever they become available. My ex-husband and I divorced 4 years ago, and while he was ordered to pay child support, the payments come sporadically, if at all. Most months, I find myself sending reminder texts that go unanswered while bills pile up on my kitchen counter. Despite these challenges, I prioritize my son's needs above everything else. We live in a modest 2-bedroom apartment on the east side of town. It is nothing fancy, but I have done my best to make it feel like home with second-hand furniture that I have slowly upgraded piece by piece. The walls of Tyler's room are covered with space posters and science diagrams that he loves. Our living room showcases his art projects and school achievements rather than expensive decor. My car is a 10-year-old Honda that has seen better days. The air conditioning stopped working last summer, and the passenger window no longer rolls down. Every few months something new breaks, and I have to decide whether to fix it immediately or wait until the next paycheck. I keep an emergency fund for car repairs because without reliable transportation I cannot get to work and Tyler cannot get to school. The irony of my financial situation is not lost on me. I have an advanced degree and a good job on paper, but between the student loans that still hang over my head and the cost of raising a child alone in this economy, my bank account rarely sees a comfortable balance. Each month is a careful dance of paying bills, buying groceries, covering Tyler's activities, and hopefully setting a tiny amount aside for emergencies. Tyler is the brightest spot in my life. At 8 years old, he shows a maturity beyond his years and rarely complains about our circumstances. His teachers consistently praise his academic abilities, especially in science and math. The only health concern we manage is his mild asthma, which requires regular medication and occasional doctor visits. When seasons change, what Tyler loves most is building things. Our living room often transforms into a workshop of Lego constructions, makeshift science experiments, or contraptions built from recycled materials. For his birthday last year, instead of asking for video games or trendy toys, he wanted books about engineering and a set of basic tools so he could build something important someday. His words, not mine. Despite seeing his cousins with the latest gadgets and designer clothes, Tyler never asks for expensive gifts. He seems to understand our financial limitations without me having to explain them explicitly. When Christmas or his birthday approaches, his wish lists are always reasonable and thoughtful. This past Christmas, watching him carefully write his letter to Santa, requesting only a science kit and some books about space, made me both proud and heartbroken. One of Tyler's most beautiful qualities is his generosity. Weeks before any family gathering, he starts creating handmade gifts for everyone. Last Christmas, he spent hours making personalized bookmarks for his grandma, decorative pencil holders for his cousins, and a special photo frame for my sister with a picture of all the cousins together. He wrapped each one in newspaper that he decorated himself with hand-drawn holiday designs. The stark contrast between my small family unit and my sister's situation could not be more pronounced. Vanessa is 362 years older than me and married to Robert, a successful real estate developer whose family business has thrived for generations. They live in 5,000 square ft house in the most exclusive neighborhood in town, complete with a pool, home theater, and more bedrooms than people to fill them. Vanessa has never worked since getting married 12 years ago. She spends her days at yoga classes, lunch with friends, and managing their social calendar. Their children, Sophia, who is 10, and Jackson, who is 12, attend the most expensive private school in the area and participate in every premium activity available, from horseback riding to private tennis coaching. The dynamic between Vanessa and me dates back to our childhood. She was always our mother's favorite, the golden child, who could do no wrong. I was the responsible one, the fixer, the one who would step in when things got difficult. This pattern has continued into adulthood, with expectations for each of us firmly established in our family system. Our mother Barbara was widowed 5 years ago when our father passed away from a heart attack. At 64, she lives comfortably on his pension and social security, plus the proceeds from selling their larger family home and moving to a smaller but still nice house in a good neighborhood. She is not wealthy by any means, but certainly not struggling either. 3 years ago, when I changed jobs and received a comprehensive benefits package, I made what I now recognize as a critical mistake. During open enrollment, I added my mother, sister, her husband, and their 2 children to my health insurance plan. At the time, Robert's company was going through a restructuring, and their premiums were set to increase dramatically. What was supposed to be a temporary arrangement to help them through a transitional period became a permanent expectation. This decision costs me an extra $400 every month that comes straight out of my already stretched paycheck. Neither my mother nor my sister has ever offered to reimburse me for these costs, despite the fact that Robert's business recovered quickly and they continued their lavish lifestyle without interruption. The financial burden falls entirely on me, the person in the family who can least afford it. Last year, Sophia needed braces and Jackson had a sports injury requiring physical therapy. My insurance covered the majority of the costs, saving my sister thousands of dollars. When I received the benefit statements showing what had been paid on their behalf, I felt a twinge of resentment that grew stronger with each passing month. I never directly asked for them to contribute toward the insurance costs, out of a complicated mix of pride, conflict, avoidance, and the deeply ingrained family expectation that I am the helper, the giver, the one who sacrifices. But with each passing month, as I juggled bills and picked up extra shifts, the weight of this financial responsibility became increasingly difficult to bear, especially knowing that my sacrifices were being taken for granted by people who had far more financial resources than I did. 2 months before last Christmas, my mother started a family group chat to discuss holiday plans. After sorting out the logistics of who would bring what dish and what time we would gather, she dropped what seemed like welcome news. "I think we should all agree to only do small gifts this year," she typed. "Nothing over $50 per person. Times are a bit tight and the important thing is being together." I felt an immediate sense of relief wash over me. A $50 limit meant I could participate fully without the financial anxiety that usually accompanied holiday shopping. In previous years, I had stretched my budget to breaking point, trying to keep up with the expensive gifts from my sister's family, often putting purchases on credit cards that took months to pay off. The group chat continued with everyone seemingly on board with the plan. My sister sent a gift of someone nodding in agreement. My mother elaborated on her philosophy about the season being about family rather than material things. I contributed enthusiastically to the conversation, suggesting we could focus on thoughtful personal gifts rather than expensive ones. "This will be so much more meaningful," I wrote, "and better for teaching the kids about the true spirit of Christmas." Everyone agreed, and I felt a rare sense of equity in our family dynamic. For once, we would all be operating under the same constraints, and Tyler would not have to watch his cousins open extravagant gifts while he received more modest ones. The playing field would be level, and that meant everything to me. That evening, I sat down with Tyler to talk about his Christmas wish list. With the $50 limit in mind, I explained that Santa would be bringing one special gift, and that we would also be exchanging Small presents with the family, Tyler thought carefully before answering. I really want that science kit we saw at the museum store. The one where you can build your own solar system and make it light up. I remembered it clearly priced at $45, just within our new budget. His other requests were equally modest. A new winter coat since he had outgrown last year's some books about space exploration, and perhaps a new set of colored pencils for his drawings. I wrote down his list, my heart swelling with love for this understanding, undemanding child. When I asked if there was anything else he might want, he simply shook his head and said, "That is enough, Mom. I know Santa has lots of kids to visit." The contrast with my niece and nephew could not have been more striking. In previous years, their Christmas lists resembled inventory sheets from electronic stores and high-end department stores with items often totaling thousands of dollars. I wondered if the $50 limit would be a challenging adjustment for them. Over the next few weeks, I carefully planned my holiday budget. I picked up 2 extra overnight shifts at the hospital, setting aside that money specifically for Christmas gifts. I created a spreadsheet listing everyone in the family and allocated $50 for each person. With a bit extra for Tyler from Santa, shopping became a strategic operation. I visited thrift stores, scoured online sales, and compared prices across different retailers to make every dollar count. For my mother, I found a beautiful vintage brooch that reminded me of one my grandmother had worn, along with a photo album I filled with family pictures. For my sister, I selected a lovely scarf and a book by an author she had mentioned enjoying. For Robert, set of specialty barbecue sauces and a grilling tool he had admired at our summer gathering. For my niece and nephew, I chose books related to their interests along with small gift cards to their favorite ice cream shop. Tyler's gift shopping was equally thoughtful. He saved his small allowance for weeks to buy materials to make presents. For his grandma, he created a hand-painted bird feeder. For his aunt and uncle, he made a decorative serving tray using tiles he had painted himself. For his cousins, he assembled custom friendship bracelet kits with detailed instructions written in his careful handwriting. We spent evenings wrapping these gifts together using simple red and green paper I had purchased on clearance the previous year. Tyler insisted on making his own gift tags, carefully writing each person's name and decorating the tags with tiny drawings personalized for each recipient. I watched him work with such concentration and care, his tongue sticking out slightly as he focused on making each tag perfect. Our other holiday tradition was baking cookies to bring to the family gathering. The weekend before Christmas, we turned our small kitchen into a bakery, making sugar cookies, gingerbread, and peanut butter blossoms. The apartment filled with the smell of vanilla and spices as Tyler helped me ingredients and decorate cookies with careful precision. We packaged them in dollar store tins lined with wax paper, adding handwritten labels that read, "Baked with love by Tyler and Jessie." In the days leading up to Christmas, I had several phone conversations with my mother about the holiday plans. During one call, she mentioned offhandedly that Vanessa had been shopping at the mall. I reminded her about our $50 agreement. My mother said, "But you know how she is around the holidays, she just loves to give gifts." Something in her tone made me uneasy, but she is sticking to the budget. Right, we all agreed that was important this year. There was a slight pause before my mother replied, "Well, they can afford to be a bit more generous. I cannot really tell them how to spend their money." "Mom, the point was to keep things even, especially for the kids," I said, trying to keep the concern out of my voice. "Tyler is going to notice if his cousins get expensive gifts and he does not." "Oh, do not worry," my mother assured me. "I will keep my gifts to the children equal. What Vanessa and Robert do is their business." I hung up with a familiar nod of anxiety forming in my stomach. Despite the agreement, it seemed that once again, different rules would apply to different branches of the family. Christmas Eve arrived cold and clear. I loaded our car with carefully wrapped presents, a container of homemade cookies, and a casserole for the holiday dinner. Tyler vibrated with excitement in the passenger seat, clutching a small bag containing the handmade gifts he was most proud of. His cheeks were flushed with anticipation as we drove through. Neighborhoods decorated with colorful lights and inflatable holiday characters. "Do you think Grandma will like my bird feeder?" he asked for perhaps the 10th time that day. "She is going to love it," I assured him. "You put so much thought and work into it." We pulled up to my mother's suburban home around 4:00. The afternoon, the house was beautifully decorated with white lights outlining the roof and windows, and a wreath adorned with silver and gold ornaments hanging on the front door. I noticed my sister's black luxury SUV already parked in the prime spot nearest the entrance, forcing us to park on the street.